Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraya Sachit Sukha Swarupaya Swamini Tapaharine. Dear viewers, a warm welcome from Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Cultural Center. This is to another episode of Be With a Beacon, which has now merged with Kajingshai, the Light, Design of Ramakrishna Mission Shillong, the first trilingual easy. So here we are with someone very, very popular and eminent. Dear viewers, marvelous minds, thoughtful thinkers, let's see who is here. We have someone who is a renowned author, an educationist, a philanthropist, all rolled into one. But what attracts everyone is the motherly nature that endears all her students. Bijoya Sawian has taken the breeze of Shillong to the rest of the country, especially Dehradun, where her school is. We shall share her journey, recall of all that she has gone through to become what she is now. A warm welcome to Ma'am Bijoya Sawian.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ananya. Thank you, Ramakrishna Mission, for inviting me. I'm highly honored.
Okay, so first things first. So what would you call yourself? An author or an educationist or just a mother?
I think being motherly is natural.
Yes.
And as I started writing, first, my real love is fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But as I started writing, I realized I'm also a national teacher.
Okay.
Especially because I live away from Shillong, and then slowly I realized that in mainland India there was so little about us.
True.
So whenever I write, automatically I'm trying to impart some knowledge, some information about Northeast. So
Okay.
you can call me an author teacher. I don't
No,
know.
author teacher
Yes, or a teacher, author, whatever.
whatsoever. Now, is it very natural for a teacher when she writes to give some kind of advice, piece of wisdom, or things like that? Or I mean, you can really separate the two.
Well, when I wrote my short stories, what I did was, a short story gets inspired. Suddenly you pass the you see a scenery or you meet a person and suddenly a story spins in your mind.
True.
But then as I write, I try to weave in some aspect of Khasi culture into the story.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't become stilted. It doesn't seem as if I'm trying to teach you about or tell you about the Khasis and Vaishnavas. So I weave it into the story. So I don't find that it impedes my, it sort of stops my creativity. I enjoy it.
Okay, wonderful. And that also gives an insight as how teaching can really be imparted, not merely passing on of information which is always available over all the media that we have around us. So, Bijoya, you have a strong ancestry. You have been talking about just now about culture, about something that the people of Northeast, especially of the Khasi Hills, can give to the rest of the world, if not at least to the rest of the country. So you have a very strong ancestry, Babuji Roy and all others. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, Babuji Roy Mairam was my maternal grandfather.
Okay.
And till now we are still living his dream. That how to keep on in our own capability and capacity to improve our community, to move forward. So he was a great thinker, and he was when he was growing up, the missionaries had come. He's not against any religion. How can you be religious and be against religion?
True.
But he felt that the missionaries were making the people ashamed of their culture. And he felt that if you are thrown into a cultural vacuum, you will lose your identity. So he was worried about that. And now we try to live our lives in such a way that even now his influence is still there. It's how to preserve our culture and identity and how to do our best for our community.
That way, the entire British Raj, as we call it, the British had done the same thing throughout the country. They made us believe that we don't have anything, whatever our ancestral thing had was all rubbish, and that's how we have to look towards the West, more so towards the Brits, and invite things from them.
Yes, their policy was rule and quiet. And they have managed very successfully in arguing these hills. Through religion. The Khasis, the people of the hills will always be suspicious of the plainsmen that are Khasis.
Are you okay?
Why? They did it. That is their policy. But we must understand that we must get old. We must get old. We cannot progress in an area of conflict. All the time we're fighting about who's worshipping who and who's better than who. So Babu Jawan Roy's main dream was how to educate the masses. He was very, very keen that they should. He said, I write books not only for you to be able to read and write, but also to think. And he fought very, very bravely and relentlessly for education, higher education in these hills. So Reverend Thomas Jones told him that Khasis really didn't need education beyond class 6.
Oh my God.
And he was horrified. So he kept writing to the government and they kept refusing. So we can't, preach, not to teach. And class 6 is enough. So then he started in 1878 the Zilla School where the telegraph office used to be. And immediately registered 50 pupils. So then the education officer, German Jones, realized that Babu was actually right. Khasis are ready for education. And he was then the one who brought higher education to these schools. And that school, the Reverend Jones, not Thomas Jones, it's German Jones. He amalgamated the Zilla School with the government high school. And that's how the government high school in Auckland was established. And his son, Sir Charan Roy, was the first Khasi student to pass out from the school in 1880.
You just said that we're still living the dream of Babu Jawan Roy to educate the Khasi and to give them higher education. Why we are still living? Because time has passed and people have progressed, and we are in the 21st century, and 1/4 of is we are about to complete 1/4 of the century. Why you still say that we are still living the dream? Is it have we not reached to the goal that he dreamt of?
No, because people are not bothered about the rural areas. We have so many MLAs. I will not generalize. Some of them are very good. But unless we take development to the rural areas, we educate the people, we will not progress. Education will not be complete. Those people have no jobs in the rural areas, so they come to the city. They get no jobs, so they become criminals, they become drug addicts, they become drunkards, they join the militants. They don't even know the ideology of the militants. They don't even know.
What for?
They just want to earn money. So unless you realize that developing the rural area is very important, you will not be able to progress. It's very important to educate. And one thing, the people must understand the difference between being educated and just being literate. Being literate means you know your ABC, RDKD, but you're truly educated when you can use your knowledge and your information to live a better life, to understand life better. Because education is not only to make a living, it should teach you how to live correctly.
Wonderful.
There's a difference between being educated and being literate, and I wish more people would understand.
True. How it echoes the same thing that when Swami Vivekananda visited this place and he wanted that people of this region should get education. He knew that they had the potential. He could foresee that, and the same thing was what Jivan Roy thought. Yes, you are teaching in Derun, and you just now said that the villages here are not up to the extent to understand the value of education. So I would like to ask, how do you compare the kind of approach that villages of Uttarakhand have and the kind of approach the villages of this place have?
Uttarakhand is like what was West UP, so it's quite developed area. And the people are themselves telling the leaders, please do something for us, otherwise we're not going to vote. So that's what the people should do. Unless you develop the rural areas, it's no use saying I'm making 6-way high lanes and these, bullet trains and making statues all over and all that. Neglecting. There's some villages that have no school. Some villages have to walk 2 hours to a hospital. I mean, it's not the kind of country we want. You have to concentrate on the rural area. You have to concentrate on the employment of the people. If a young boy feels he has no future, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, he is going to turn to hers, he's going to turn to drugs and drinks and littles. And then you beat him up and put him into jail. I mean, it's like they're taking it out of the weakest segment in Shillong. I feel very sad about what's happening. It should not happen. The government is responsible.
So, it seems you very fondly remember the visits of yours when you were during your childhood to Ramakrishna Mission. So, Ramakrishna Mission then and Ramakrishna Mission now. So, can you say something? Can you share some fond memories?
Well, as you know, as far as I know, Ramakrishna Mission, the first one was in 1838. It was in Cherrapunji. It was one of the first big schools before the missionaries. And my fondest memory is of my mother taking me there as a child.
Okay.
And telling me that she taught history. Telling me that the most beautiful years of her life were spent in Ramakrishna Mission. The ambience, the people, the ethos. So I have very fond memories. And I have very fond memories of my father, Mr. Letty, and who was not ritualistic. And but every Durga Puja, we would go to Ramakrishna Mission and pay our respects to the goddess, and we have a
Offer
that's lovely facade.
You've mentioned that your father was a proud Sylheti.
Yes.
Why is it like that? How do you elaborate that? It's a very interesting statement.
It's very interesting because he was a proud Sylheti.
Okay.
He'd always be very proud of his culture, his cuisine.
Okay.
And I remember, my brother was in Calcutta. He met Mr. Rajiv, who was the DG then of West Bengal.
Okay.
And Rajiv just said, why doesn't your father speak Bengali? He said, he doesn't speak Bengali to you. He said, no, he speaks me in English. And so then he came back and asked my father, why don't you speak Bengali to the Bengalis? So he said, but I have my own language, Sylheti, and I'll only speak when it's necessary. Then I'll speak Bengali, West Bengali. But I have my own language. So we knew that it was, I'd love to meet his relatives, and then he'll go talking in the Sylheti. He was very proud of his Sylheti.
And the typical Bengali adda sort of.
Yes. Cuisine was like this. We just knew he was very proud. But he allowed us to grow up as cousins. And he told me before I went to college that, look, I've come from East Bengal. But I'm married to a very traditional family, which the culture is very vibrant. And they're very
regal in them.
Yes. So I don't want you all to have a crisis or a You will be Kasi's Sylheti. So I went to Delhi feeling, I feel good about it because I was sure what I had. Yes, that's it.
And one more thing about this ancestry to which you belong, that each one of them Of course, they are prominent with their regal ways, but they're eminent in their own fields. And something that, I mean, if I'm referring to Mr. Bijoya Sawian, Sumar Singh Sawian, and all others, so they have something in common. That is their approach towards life is something very, very honest. What makes them so?
We were brought up that way, that we should not live for ourselves. We've come to this world to do something good.
Okay.
And the achievement is God's grace. Like my father was the last IG of Untitled Chapter. He also rose to the highest post. Then the uncle Mahan Singh was a minister, a very, very respected enemy of the Congress.
They were called Lala. I mean,
the Lala Day. The Lala Day was my father. The only Bengalis in Bengal were Lala Day. That was from their Murshidabad connection. Also very concerned with education because my great-grandfather started the Jubilee School in Shillong, the best in the So education was very much part of my genes. But if you talk to us about different, we were taught to respect everybody. We were never taught about caste and creed and class and color. We had to respect everyone. And Khasi religion is such. You have to respect all God's creations, animate and
inanimate as well.
Even a tree. So in Bengal, India, when they ask other Khasis animals, I said no. We don't worship trees and the wind and the sun. We worship the creator of all these things.
Oh, that is how it is. That is how it is. So much similar to the Advaita Vedanta, which also says that unity is the main thing, and it comes from the same origin.
It's very similar.
I love to read this bit from the Kajingshai to Men because this is what was referred here in the Kajingshai, the light takes pride. That in its first issue, Bijoya Sawian's article gave the importance of value education by Jivan Roy and Radhan Singh Bedi. So, and
let me say one thing. There's one thing I'm concerned about the new education policy is that they make music, sports, art important main subjects. There's nothing about that education. And there's ethical illiteracy, there's spiritual illiteracy, emotional illiteracy all around, but nobody is taught. They only know about books and marks. So value education is very important, and I'm glad my aunt, Vivekananda Sawian, made me translate. It's secular, it's universal, it's about life, it's about how to live correct life. It's the Khasi book of etiquette and ethics. And I want to make you understand many people that etiquette for us is not just social grace.
Okay.
It's a way of worship. Right? So if you respect someone, you're respecting the creator.
Or respecting the creator?
I respect an elder or anybody. I respect them.
It's so similar, like Namaste. When we say Namaste, you have the divinity within yourself and you respect that. And similarly, it is Kublai, where the blade is coming into the picture. So language also has its own way. So, I think that the same thing is referred here in this Kajingshai to Men. All superficial pomp and ostentation undermines truth and is the root of destruction. Once your character is destroyed, whatever you achieve, no one will applaud. Well-being is assured if by truth you abide, right from beginning to the end of your life. So this is something.
Religion is based on truth, and it's like if you're living in the superficial world all the time, which I think the Hindus call Maya. It's just one part of life. That's not the real life. All the time it's all about show. But there's another one there which says all superficial pomp and ostentation undermines truth and is the root of destruction. It's all the coward or show. Once your character is destroyed, whatever you achieve, no one will applaud. But they applaud. That's what's going wrong in life.
That's
if you have money, they applaud you. It doesn't matter how you get the money. Now, if money is going to replace all values, then our life is really doomed.
They are applauded, but I beg to differ. I think the applause is only transient and it's very, very temporary.
Transient, and of course, you need money. I'm not saying that. You have to do well in life. You don't need money. But if that is everything you're trying to achieve in life, at any cost, then I think your life is pretty bad.
Okay, so here, the oft-quoted statement by everybody, they say that today's youth are spoiled rotten. And you have heard it in your days, and I have heard it in everybody. But Swami Vivekananda says, my faith is in the younger generation. From them will come my workers. They will work out the whole problem like lights. Now, my question is, what responsibilities do we have, and what can we impart to the youth so that their vitality, their vigor can actually work out the whole problem? I say this because we see that the younger generation, especially among the ones with Kasi origin, they are really trying to revive the old values, and even in the form of documents, in the form of artwork, and all sorts of things. So, what is our responsibility
As elders.
as elders? Yes.
You should lead by example. For example, in our home when we were young, they never read out the sentiment and they just sit down and start reading the sentiment. Once in a while, yes, we sit together and we talk about folk tales, these things. But they led by example. So we follow them. So if you lead by example, it is easier than sitting down and telling them something and doing something else. So we have to be very concerned, because if our future generation, the future of India depends on the youth. And if they're going wrong, they're going to, it's like saying they're so westernized in all these. There's so many other things which you can gain from the West. Their discipline, this focus. In fact, when I started the school, so many things you can learn from them. The main person who inspired me was John Martin, an Englishman, who started the Doon School, which was once upon a time perhaps the best school in India. And he says, and that's what inspired me actually to start the school here with my husband. He says, if education is meant to prepare you for life, then it should impress upon the child that life is worth living. So it should be a joyful experience. Learning should be a joyful experience. So then when I started the school, I sort of coined the motto, it's still the joy of learning.
Joy of learning.
It shouldn't be like, all the time homework. I got 8 out of 10, and she got 4 out of 10. It's not, that's not learning. Learning, and that's CBSE is bringing down the syllabus going to be cut. You don't need all that. So much more to learn.
So much more to learn from where?
From the West also we can learn all these things. Why learn only how to, I'm not saying I think it's way too, I swear jeans and ministers, if they're listening to rock music, great, everything is universal, it's fine. But learn other things also.
Shouldn't be replaced by the original.
It should replace the original thing, and then you learn discipline, you learn focus, you learn the sense of meticulous way of doing everything that they do. You can learn those also, and also wear what you want, sing what you want, dance. You should not be ashamed of it. So learning from the West is also it should be selective. It should definitely be selective.
Many from the Kasi land are afraid of intermingling, perhaps the fear that anything that is outside this land would sway away the traditional values, the tradition, and everything. On the other hand, there are many who thought that why not? We are having such a rich and vibrant culture, and spread it and share it to the world. Let the goodness spread. So I think perhaps both were right in some way or other. What is your stand?
half the population, you see, that's what my grandfather was concerned. Is when they converted to Christianity, they were told that their traditional culture was something they had to shed it. They have to completely forget it. Even the names were changed and everything. When we used to go dancing to Waking and all the doors and windows would be shut all around from all country, all night. It's the drums of the devil. So the people became very confused. They started to shed off something and take up something different. They taught them how to worship, which is very good, every religion. But they didn't fill the cultural value. They were flung into a total, abyss. They had no culture, and how can you live without some kind of traditional culture? So they are insecure about it. And when you are insecure, then you're always scared about it. You're always fierce. And that's what so I think they're trying to understand and amalgamate the culture and tradition also. And it's difficult. It's been a very long time, and my family have tried their best. For the best of the community, but it was misunderstood.
Misunderstood as in?
In the sense that we are not against any religion. We cannot be against any religion because it's just another path to reach God, right? But it was disturbing. People cannot live without identity. Like I go everywhere in the world and I'm so sure my identity, it gives me confidence. And I'm respected for that. It's like a tree. It cannot grow without roots. Even if you water it and water it and water it, if you uproot it, it's not going to grow. So we are like plants. We're just part of this whole universe. And this constant conflict and also unnecessary. I don't know. I really don't. I live in a world without borders and without all this getting boxed in here and there. I know what I am. Because I'm comfortable.
So I would like to tell the viewers that I feel delighted when I see somebody like Bijoya, full of substance, and whose books in fact have created sensations everywhere, and everyone is so fond of reading what she writes. And she's so modern in her approach and still very much classy. So I would like to ask you, what makes the world read your content? What is there? What's the spice in it?
The Shadow Man was actually nominated along with Amitabh really talented for the Rabindranath Tagore Literary Prize 2020. Of course, Raj Kamal won for an excellent novel called The City and the Sea, based on the Nirbhaya case. I was delighted that they could read Shadow Man because I based it. It's a very Kasi and Shillong story, and but it talks about the youth and unemployment and what danger, how dangerous it is, and all the wrong values. So people love it, and actually I wrote it one night when I was 10 years ago. When I was in Montreal in my home, and my father just passed away, so I stayed back with my sister-in-law and I, walking up and down the deep these crackers. And we thought that Sambarwari celebrating or something. Then my brother John was here, and he was DGP BSF then, it was holiday. And he said, "Come in, police are firing at the militants." So I said, "Oh my God," and we all went in, and then I said, "Thank God our dogs are not loose." So my sister was, "But they talk about militants." I said, "Yeah, but nobody wants to be that. There must be a reason for it." So the next day, then I went up to my brother Kumar, who wasn't there, and I read this Bob Dylan book, and it is part of it. But and I read something which he wrote, which my nephew talked to me about. It was part of the case too. And I understood that these chaps just needed to be guided and counseled. So I wrote Shadow Man based on that incident, that evening.
Who were your target audience that time when you wrote it? Later, of course, it gained popularity all over. But when you wrote, who were your target?
I thought only you.
Oh gosh.
I thought thought it was going to read about Meghalaya, people beating up each other, which I think is a horrible phenomenon. And it has to stop. It's targeting the, it's not because I'm asking it. It's just inhuman. If the government doesn't give work enough to the young people and give them hope and counsel, they're going to go. No man with any sense in his head, young boy, who has a job, who's respected in his family, will go and indulge in mindless violence in the street. Just think about it. Just think about it. So but suddenly Shadowman became very popular. Everybody, when you read it, actually you get to know a lot about these. And there are two short stories based on it. One is based in Mizoram, and two love stories, and one is based in Shillong, which I wrote really around selective literature. And it suddenly became very popular. My short stories also became very popular. Family's Secret and other stories. They learned a lot from those. As I said, I wove these things about Meghalaya education. Because I'm a kind of a teacher, as you say, of education. So, and about the book of ethics and etiquette, people have very wrong idea about the Northeast. We have no rules. They have very wrong ideas. So they read the extent of them, they were shocked that we had code of conduct. And then the maid ceremonies of the Khasis, as you know, we have only 3: naming, marriage, and death. And then my cousin said, please write about these, because people ask is so complicated and you can't just tell them in an interview or something. So then I did it, and I'm so happy when the Vivekananda came and published it.
Yeah, but so far as our conversation went on, I had a feeling that the Khasi religion was more about philosophy, more about things to think about, and less of rituals. But I mean, with that in mind, I feel like asking, what significance do these customs and ceremonies have?
I think the Hindu religion also is not a ritualistic, and I think it's totally finished now. All of them are rituals. They go to pujas and 101, and they do all the wrong things. So you're either a true religious person or you're a ritualist. I like rituals because it gathers people together. But you must also know the essence of every religion is to be a good person. Your main ambition in life is to be a good person. And that is success in itself. And that is success in itself. And even the youth here, they should be taught that it doesn't matter that any job is a job. It's not that, oh, he's only a mason, he's only a carpenter, he's only an electrician. Everyone is essential. If you look at the Kamakya or you look at Taj Mahal, every bricklayer, every marble cutter is essential to make something. Everyone is important, so that should be taught. So Khasi religion is, I think cultural events are very important. The other day at the Shabiki, they asked me, is this relevant? I said, culture can never be irrelevant. It's just part of your life, your DNA. No matter who you worship, come and enjoy it. It's a dance of joy and triumph. And that it is also a dance of worship. It's not that you belong to another religion, you can just dance.
So do we infer that behind every ritual, be it of any religion, there is an ethos, and it's important to understand the essence of it and then only perform them?
Yes, because I'm sure, I think even in the religion they never had idols. They were formed later. Because people need it. You have something in front of you. You have to concentrate. You have the Shivji or Shinji or whatever. It has to concentrate, gather the family together. It's a human need. There's no harm in it. But rituals are important if they're important to that person. It gives a kind of conclusion to many things.
Again, I'm going back to this sentiment that gives us an impression that the teaching from elders and as they live their life is very, very important for the younger younger generation. And this pandemic has taught us that education from the family, from home, is so very much important. Otherwise, modern parents would shirk off their responsibilities and throw it upon the teachers to do whatever they can teach or put into their brains the information. So, on this context, I mean, do you think that these parents and family members have a part in their mainstream education of the younger generation? Or it is the job of the teachers and that's it?
The new normal will emerge. This pandemic is going on. Things change. In my school, actually, I teach the parents, the teachers, and the students. The parents have a lot to learn. Because they also have exposed to an education which is mindless. So they have to be taught. Also, I have parent-teacher meeting. I teach the teachers and I teach the children. And this should be more inclusive. Because not all parents are counselors. Some parents are not fit to be parents. But our culture is such that we get married, we have children, and the line is more complicated.
Parenting also needs to be taught.
Parenting. It begins at home. And in school.
And finally, you moved from Shillong to Delhi. Took the breeze from this side to that side. What the country, the world can learn from the Khasi culture? In a nutshell.
Whatever is left, few people who know the essence of culture. Nothing's coming back, which is very encouraging. I think all cultures are the same. They teach you peace and goodwill. Truth is the ultimate reality. And that's what the Khasi culture would teach us actually. And those who remember, those who don't remember will remember. Eventually, I think it's going to be a better world.
Okay. So your final message for our viewers as how do they understand this Khasi culture and the Khasi way of educating the young generation, the young ones?
I want to just ask youth all over is that just clear your baggage and listen to your inner voice and do what you're meant to do correctly and proudly. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. There's nothing like big and small and reaching the top of the ladder. There's not enough place to top. But if you've done your job well, you will success. You should be proud of it. If you're a positive member of the community, you contribute towards your family, the community, and the country in any small way. As I said, it doesn't matter if you're a carpenter, electrician, big government official, a minister, whatever, architect, singer, sportsman. It doesn't matter. Just do your best. Whether you fail or you succeed, you've done your best. Be proud of yourself. Live a good life. Wish everyone all the best, especially the youth. I'm very concerned.
It was indeed wonderful to talk to Bijoya. We have learned much as we walked along the paths of her journey towards success. What is my takeaway, if you can say that it is, yes, every bit of wisdom, every bit of knowledge that I gained today, I'm sure all our viewers have gained it as well. So I feel like uttering the things that Swami Vivekananda said. So let me read it out. It is culture that withstands shocks, not a simple mass of knowledge. You can put a mass of knowledge into the world, but that will not do as much good. There must come culture into the world. So let us imbibe the spirit and have a great journey ahead. And Bijoya, just a little word of thanks from the entire team of Kajingshai who helps this venture. May you continue to inspire and may we have more such occasions to meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.